I just point out about the great D.B. Cooper and his lovely wife. I have no blood relation to these wonderful heroes. I've never met them in person. And yet, a magnificent testimonial to the success of going free in their lives and in the lives of others. They named one of their children after me. And so that is because of the success of Go Free. We can all make the decision to go free. We can all make the decision to do wonderful things and be worthy of that sort of thing. And I am honored to the end of all days by D.B. Cooper and your lovely wife, brother. $10 financial gift. Thank you so much. And the question is, should our women go to university? Well, I think the question can be broadened to, should our men as well go to university? Let me rephrase it this way. In most cases, no one should go to university. The price of university of going to college, going to a college, going to a university has gone beyond imagination because of the federal government backing the loans. So it was inevitable, and the anti-white idea that everybody's going to get to go to college decreased the value of the degrees that you can get at college and university. So go to college or a university, and this is just speaking generally for men and women at the moment. If what you want to do, that you know you will be able to make a living at, and keep in mind, this is what's very important when you're a white person. Is this a field that is going to be able to support you as this white erasure, the victimization of our people, continues afoot? For every diversity hire, for every diversity quota, for every diversity quarter celebration that these big companies have, there are white people who are getting fired, diversity fires, and that means that you didn't get the job, or you were fired, or you didn't get the promotion you deserved, and on and on and on. So you'll be acquiring massive debt. So is this a field that, at the rate that things are progressing with anti-whiteism, that you are likely in 2 years, in 5 years, in 7 years to be purged from the company, or to never even be able to get a job in the field because they are going to persecute white people, discriminate against them? And it won't matter. Trust me, it won't matter how good your grades are. If you could see my grades, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. Especially if you're a white male, it doesn't matter at all how well you do. So they are, these entities are as anti-white as they can come. You look at what the anti-whites are doing in other sectors, it's beyond imagination. So easily believable and observable, demonstrable in business that these things are taking place. So that means that rather than go to college or university, you get into, if you're not going to be getting into a profession where you need the laboratories and et cetera, obviously the STEM fields where you need this, and there's nothing wrong with going into this, a wonderful thing. And our people should continue to go into these fields. But if you're not sure about your future in the field, or you're not sure even if you like the field or whatever, look instead for professions that you can get into where you can have on-the-job training, where you can autodidactic, you can train yourself, and you can begin in apprenticeships. You can begin, donating your time to different organizational entities, and be the guy or the girl who has to go get the coffee most of the time for their internships, and begin getting that education that way, the actual doing of the thing. And then, even if it's something that can provide you with a living in some fashion or another, and maybe you do a dual learning, maybe it's 2 fields that you work in, or you study in, so you always have something that you can do to support yourself. If the one field gets purged, or you do get purged from a company, or you never get hired, you can go someplace else and you can use that training elsewhere and make yourself a living. And also, don't be afraid, just a tangential subject to this. Please avail yourself of the social welfare nets at every point of your life. Don't ever just get rid of this idea that it is somehow immoral to get on these programs. Absolutely, if you are able to get on for food or for whatever it might be, become a professional at finding out how to get the information that you need to get onto these programs if you need to be on them, and then avail yourself of them for as long as you need to avail yourself of them. And in fact, perhaps in the future, one of the things that the organizational entity can do is to help people the same way that anti-white organizations help non-white people, help white people get onto these programs so that they can supplement their livelihood the way that many non-white families supplement their livelihoods. Now we narrowed it down a little bit further to women. Should women go to university? Or should women go to college? The question is too broad to answer in the way it's worded. Individual, we need our women. Let's put it this way: we need our women. More of our women, certainly the women who are going free, more of them, to be making the decision during that precious time of their life when they can produce healthy, the percentage of likelihood of producing healthy offspring, and their physical fitness level, their own ability to heal, and this, now we're talking about not healing just from childbirth, but that too, but also healing the body after all of the physical challenges of rearing children, having to run around after them, having to catch them before they fall off the banister, catch them once they fall off the banister. We need far more of our women making the decision that in this period of my life, when I'm going to be able to, I'm going to have a higher percentage of producing healthy offspring, and I'm going to physically be able to go with less sleep, physically be able to recover after having to run after the children, and etc. We need more of our women focusing on having families during that period. And then if they want to get education, more education in a particular field, to do that after they have already begun that process. After they have already gotten that family up and rolling, and the kids are more of where they can take care of themselves, etc. And there are wonderful examples of women who did. You don't need to be a superwoman, although we will probably refer to you as one. But there are Phyllis Schlafly is a wonderful example of, you have a family, and then you could go on to do some other education. Now, when it comes to these universities, in particular, I think our young women are, I think, on a bell curve, are generally a little bit more susceptible to the peer pressure than our males. And they go to university. I think everybody has horror stories, many, of the daughter, the sister, the cousin, the whatever, who was a good girl and had good traditional values or whatever it was. She goes to university, and after one semester, in some cases, comes back and is as anti-white and vicious and hate-filled as a white person, any person could be. And there's just not as many stories of that happening to our young men. They seem to be, for various reasons that people could cite, biologically a little bit more resistant to peer pressure than our young women. So universities and colleges do create a place that is much more, I think, dangerous ideologically for our young girls, and also physically, because they're put into an environment where, how many times have we seen these videos where we see people, young men, older men, saying to the white females, well, you are just this anti-white slur if you don't date me, if you don't let me, and then, and they fill in the blank with some sexual act. These are life-changing events. And even if that doesn't happen, many of them are caught up in this uh, this anti-white mindset of going out and just having multiple sexual partners, and this ruins women. Women are not, and of course, check with CNN. I could be completely wrong. Here's my opinion, and check with the biologists. I'm sure at your local university they'll tell you the exact opposite. It's not natural for a woman to have many sexual partners, because for millennia, a sexual partner meant a pair bonding requirement, because they needed the male to remain to protect her and the child, because she was going to be utterly incapacitated to survive in a wild environment. And so it is in some ways there are people who argue that it destroys them, women, psychologically, to have many sexual partners. And many people have described the pair bonding as like a tape, and the sticky tape that you tape presents up with. And the more times you stick it to something and pull it off, it loses its ability to stick to the next surface. And that for women, pair bonding is very much like that. So, in short, both young men and women, or middle-aged, or whatever you are, you're thinking about going to college or university. Do you need it? There's going to be a massive debt. What field are you going into? Are you going to be purged? Are you going to be able to, is it going to be profitable for you? If you're a young woman, are you willing to sacrifice, or I get that period of being able to, that best period for you of being able to have children, healthy children, and you remain healthy over that period? Are you willing to sacrifice that? And knowing that you could have that and then return to it. And I would say, even while women are managing the children and the household and all, this is, what do they call this? Like, there are so many disparaging names for the women who are being a doctor, being a lawyer, being all of this, because you have to be all of these different hats to be at home and rear a family. And they use this, the anti-whites, to drive them out into the workplace, because look, being all those things is just beneath you. But being a whatever and sitting in maybe you got a big office, but you're still just making your boss rich. That's what it comes down to, and your family's neglected. But while you are at home, and you can learn skills while you're home if you're a woman, and you can provide supplemental income that way if necessary. And that's something else that can be done. And also to say that when it comes to couples, even though we can look at, as tradition has come down to us as successful, it's the reason why it's the tradition, because it's been retained because it's been successful, where you have the ideal of the man is able to bring in the income, the mother is there to be there for the children 100% of the time. Nowadays, the way the world is, the women, the white men, absolutely discriminated and persecuted by the system in a way that has been unknown to the world. You might have a situation where dad is home with the children because mom at her job is going to make 3 times or 4 times as much. And maybe that's not the money that you need to live in a nice part of the town. That's the money that you need just to be able to live in a safe area. So not like living upscale, like you're going to the beach 3 times a year or something of this nature. Having said all of that, final thing to say is that there are some women who are not young girls who are not going to feel any desire whatsoever to have a family. They're not going to have, and that's not going to make a good wife. That's not going to make a good mother. And so pressuring a young woman into that scenario is not going to be good. Not for her, not for the husband, not for the children. So if you have a daughter like this, and she's just absolutely, she would make a terrible wife and mother, and she would rather have a job then she should view university and college the same way that a young man would. Do I need this to be able to do the job or jobs I would like to do? Is this a field I am likely to be purged from? How long will this field and this training be profitable to me, taking into consideration the colossal debt that she will incur? So it's a very complicated answer to the question, but life is complicated, and we have to address it as mature adults. And I really deeply thank you, D.B. Cooper, for asking that magnificent question. The great Brad C is with us. Great, another magnificent champion. Always love seeing your face, brother. $20 US. And he writes, in honor of our fantastic community. I could not agree more. Thank you so very much, and cheers to you, brother. A big cheers to you. And we have a wonderful lady, shows up week after week, and just every time I see her name, I Love Jesus Christ, it puts a smile on my face. $10 from I Love Jesus Christ. Thank you, sweet sister. And she writes here, in memory of Chris Donald. Now, I'm afraid I don't know who Chris Donald is, so please, if somebody could fill me in. This is probably another victim of anti-whiteism. So thank you so much for honoring Chris with this $10 financial gift to white well-being. I Love Jesus Christ. What a beautiful person and a beautiful deed right there.